Welcome. We invite you now to listen to the Gospel of St. Matthew and let us reflect on what Jesus might be saying to us today. When Jesus came down from the mountain, great crowds followed him, and then a leper approached and did him homage and said, "Lord, if you wish, you can make me clean." Jesus stretched out his hand and touched the man and said, "I will do it. Be made clean." His leprosy was cleansed immediately. And then Jesus said to him, "See that you tell no one, but go show yourself to the priest and offer the gift that Moses prescribed. That will be proof for them." The Gospel of the Lord. I was reading in the paper this morning an article that complaints to the police have increased over 400% this year over last year about fireworks in connection with the celebration of the 4th of July. It's a week ahead, but we're starting to celebrate. And it struck me, aside from the debate on fireworks, how we take holidays or special events and we tend to tailor them. And sometimes in tailoring them to our needs, our desire, fade or cause to fade the meaning of the real celebration. The 4th of July, the celebration of our country, the Declaration of Independence, inalienable rights for all people. And we think of fireworks and hot dogs. There's nothing wrong with fireworks and hot dogs, but it's just not quite the same. And if it covers over the real significance, then we're in trouble. It's the same with Christmas. We make it ultimately Santa Claus, gifts for us. A lot of other celebrations go with Christmas, but the birth of Jesus sometimes fades and fades and fades, and the real meaning is lost. I think that's what the gospel is saying today. Jesus comes down from a retreat, and the crowds start gathering, and one man with a terrible disease comes and asks, "Lord, if you will, you can make me clean. Perform a miracle." And Jesus says, "I do." And he was made clean. And then Jesus says immediately, "But don't tell anybody." And of course, the man went and told everybody. And what happened was crowds started to grow. People came and looked to Jesus as a wonder worker, as a magician, as someone from whom they could get great favors. And as far as that goes, that's fine. But it's not the message that Jesus came for. It wasn't his purpose. It wasn't his teaching. Instead of us getting from Jesus, in a sense, Jesus' message is almost the opposite. He asks us to go and represent him by the way we live our life in faith, that we should be giving witness to others, that we should be loving others because we see God in them, whatever the circumstances, whoever the person may be. In other words, it seems to me the thrust of the message and teaching of Jesus is going the other way, asking us to give. And if we're generous, if we're strong in our faith, if we're embracing of others, then we'll receive more than we're giving. To ask the Lord for favors, to look for cures, that's fine, as long as it doesn't cover over the real message of Jesus. I'm afraid God, for most of us, becomes the measure of our salvation, of our arriving at the kingdom. And we almost never think of others. And when we do, we find too many excuses for not reaching out, for not giving unconditionally, but always with the condition, what's in it for me? That may be human, and it may be understandable. And to a certain extent, we don't want to be made doormats. All of that is true. But I wonder if it's not a spurious argument so that I don't have to listen to the challenge of Jesus. If you believe I'm in you, if you believe that I'm in every person, then love them. Love yourself by sharing the gift that I've given you so freely. No merit on your part, no condition. Give it the way you receive it. I can't do that if I am not a person of prayer. I certainly can't do it if I'm not a person of belief. The question is how much? And of course, it always comes back to this. Every day is a new day. I wonder in this gospel message where the headline was, if there were headlines, Jesus performs another great miracle. Leprosy is cured. Sounds like the coronavirus. Imagine if Jesus came and cured that. And in a sense, I would like that. At least it would mean that I wouldn't have to wear a mask. But the fact of the matter is, he's probably not going to come and perform the miracle that I would like. But he asks me to be faithful, that in the midst of the challenge, that he's there. In the day of Jesus, the headline that leprosy was cured would probably fade in a day or two. And then the next would be, what can you do for me lately? God in my life often is a wonder worker. He's a convenience. He's a magician. He's the punisher. He's the arbitrator of salvation. Never the gift giver. Never the challenge of the message. That's what I have to be careful. Do I celebrate Jesus? Sometimes the way I celebrate the 4th of July, with a lot of noise, a lot of motions that mean nothing, and drown out the real meaning and the presence. Just like his birth, it becomes Santa Claus, warm and fuzzy, convenient, comfortable. And when I listen in prayer and reflection, I see and I hear Jesus today. Here's your miracle, but don't tell anybody, because you're going to drown out the real message, the challenge. You're going to drown out what will make you totally and completely human when you embrace all of my creation, yourself and every human being and the world in which you live, and celebrate that the way God celebrates us, by loving unconditionally. We hope your day continues to be healthy and safe. Let us continue to pray for one another and remain confident of God.